Morobe MPs defend provincial government decision to build a coal power station. Maprik District aims to vaccinate more than 30,000 children. And city residents proudly parade their four-legged friends.
This is the National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Saturday's news. Maprik District in East Sepik Province has set a target of more than 30,000 children to be vaccinated against polio. This comes after a confirmed laboratory case of polio in East Sepik Province. The District Health Manager Raymond Pohonai has teams working around the clock to reach the targets by the end of the week.
The vaccination campaign team stationed around 7 health facilities throughout Maprik District have reached at least half of the set target of more than 15,000 children. District Health Manager Raymond Pohonai says the target may not be fully realized considering the locations of most villages are in remote areas in vast geological terrains. However, he is confident that the campaign should go well according to the response from locals. 2 members of the World Health Organization were also in the district to carry out survey and monitor the progress of the polio vaccination. Technical Officer of WHO Extended Program on Immunization, James Effelfinger, says polio vaccination is very important as polio is a very serious issue which can affect children and adults very quickly.
And what we do is we go house to house and we ask to see all the children and take a look at their fingers to see if they've been vaccinated, or if they don't have a mark on their fingers, we go and we ask their parents for either their vaccine card or if they remember them being vaccinated in the last week. Right. And then we count number of households that have children and how many children under 15 and how many have been vaccinated and how many have not.
13 cases of polio have been confirmed so far throughout PNG, and although the country had experienced the outbreak in the year 2000, it was discovered again in May this year. Zhu Su from UNICEF China says poliovirus has visible symptoms of fever, abdominal pains, stiffness or muscle aches.
If every child previously already get the vaccination like polio, they should not be infected. They should be protected. So that's why from the media, our friends should tell the parents, community, or social societies, every child.
The 2 officers are a part of 30 specialists from WHO and UNICEF who were posted to different parts of the country to monitor polio vaccination. Polio causes loss in muscle tone and movement and can cause paralysis or even death. Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
The airliner Air Sangha, operating out of Maprik Hayfield Airstrip, has switched from the 9-passenger aircraft to a twin-otter 18-passenger aircraft. This comes after the increase in demand for flights in and out of Maprik District. Ground Operations Manager John Airy revealed that passengers from all over the central Sepik region and even West Sepik, most of them being vanilla buyers. They have also received positive feedback from locals who've expressed gratitude towards the service, saying it makes traveling easier for them. The 19-passenger Twin Otter will carry 15 to 16 passengers, while the other seats will be used for cargo and baggage. At the moment, passengers traveling out of Maprik to Vanimo are charged 500 kina per head for adults and 250 kina for children. The collection and availability of correct data has been lacking in the government system. Intergovernment Relations Minister Kevin Isifu says the role of ward recorders is critical in guiding the government and other stakeholders. When presenting certificates of recognition to ward recorders for Wewak District, Minister Isifu said the Ward Record Rollout program is an effort to have accurate and up-to-date data for proper planning and service delivery.
Over the past 40 years, levels of government have struggled to maintain a proper record of people, level of business and impact by other development partners and stakeholders. Proper and accurate data has never been collected and stored for government to access. Yesterday, Intergovernment Relations Minister Kevin Isifu attended a small but very significant program for the World Record Book Rollout project. He says the work of word recorders is an attempt to have proper data for a community.
program and now by me look collecting more evidence-based data, raw data or words inside the country.
Maprik District is among the first 3 districts to pilot the project. Talase and Alato are the other 2 who have undergone training for word recorders. The word recorders will work alongside word counselors to collect and record daily data in the community. DPLGA Secretary Dixon Guina says the next step is to place the raw data in electronic form. Clementina Sebiwane has been a word recorder for the past 10 years. She says no support was given to maintain officers to be word recorders. She says the rollout of this project will now help the government bring services to communities.
You giving me name, you information, you make a remigo now, be but government will look long. Number population, me placard now when I'm service of funding, I'm like making member giving my coding law. I must speak population, me placard. Let me say, and this sticks to also to me. So I report la but minus I missing.
Maprik District is the first district in Isipik to pilot the project. Other districts will follow soon. Jacob Pava Jr., National MTV News, Wewak.
Wewak MP Kevin Isifu says the education sector in his district needs overhauling. Speaking during a visit this week to Banak Primary School on the West Coast, the local MP says officers will be tasked to visit schools and write a status report for all schools. He admitted that the level of education has dropped due to many factors. The member said it is the sole responsibility of school administrations to report to the district's education office. He says many school facilities remain deteriorated while others have new infrastructure and reports vary. Meanwhile, National Planning Minister Richard Maru committed $500,000 to help Banak Primary School. Preparations are underway for the inaugural 2018 Karamu Conservation, Agricultural and Cultural Show to be staged in Karamu Station in November. The show is part of partners with Melanesians' effort to strengthen culture in remote communities and to increase percentage of conservation areas in the country. The 3-day inaugural show is expected to attract about 7,000 participants, including tourists, traditional Sing Sing groups and business houses.
With the theme Life on Land and Climate Action, the inaugural Karamu Show will promote conservation, agriculture and culture of Karamu people. The show will be from the 21st to the 23rd of November. Of the 22 activities, the highlights of the show will be the Mr. and Miss Karamu and the cane walking performance by specialized locals.
And we are having a big field for the show to be hosted, and it's going to be fenced. We are working on the fencing of the field. We'll be having toilets, we'll be having grandstand, and we'll be having night activities as well. So we are expecting more than, people will be very excited to attend it. And we are hosting 22 activities during the day.
A logistical challenge lies ahead as traveling by air is the only reliable access into Karamu. Partners with Melanesians have already secured deals with charter companies for 8 charter flights from Goroka to Karamu for the show. They are calling on business houses for support, especially for logistics, which is the huge part of the expense.
The logistics part of it, it's going to be very tough. We have to have charters. Karamu is only accessed by plane, so, and then we have to get someone from to cover the show, to attend the show. They might fly out from Goroka to Karamu. We don't have a sponsor yet at the moment, but we have good response from feedback from potential supporters in future.
Karamu Nomane is a district of the Chimu province. It has a huge potential in agriculture, with crops such as rice and cocoa grown in the area. Culture, on the other hand, is one that the people of Karamu have forgotten.
The culture there is mixed. We have people from the Gulf, people from Eastern Islands, people from Jiwaka, people from Southern Islands, all living there. And culturally, they've lost some of the important ways of doing things. And so this show is very important. We want to revive them to think about their cultures and tradition, ways of dancing.
The organizing committee, partners with Melanesians, have so far received funding from its internal donors. The expected cost of the show stands at 200,000 kina. Interest have emerged from Digicel and Commerce, Trade and Industry Minister Vera Mori for support. The Karamu Show will be a learning experience for PWM, who are planning to host a similar show in Managalas in Northern Province next year. Charlene Eri, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We go for our first break now, but stay tuned for more of today's other stories when we come back. Welcome back. The current care centre occupied by the affected Kadava Islanders at Dandan is not suitable for resettlement. Wewak MP and Intergovernment Relations Minister Kevin Isifu says the government is looking at other options while talks are ongoing with landowners in Morobe. He said the restoration bill will identify proper procedures of permanently resettling islanders of Kadava and Manam in Medang.
In order to properly settle people and villages, you have to identify land for one, subdivide it to families so that they can properly resettle and make business, do their normal lives. So, under the resettlement authority bill, this is the way we will permanently resettle people. Also in Manam and Southern Islands. So the land at Dandan is geographically it's not suitable. So. It doesn't mean that we're going to move them out. We are looking for alternate places where we can be able to see which is the better area where we can, before we can make decisions on the land issue. So we are still keeping our options open.
Minister for ICT and Energy Sam Bassel says old National Broadcasting Corporation studios in provinces throughout the country will be demolished. The minister, in a discussion with the Prime Minister, said they will build new studios so the staff can work in a better and more modern broadcast environment. Since being transferred from ABC to NBC in 1973, the building and studios have not undergone regular maintenance or upgrading. The minister says a portion of the land at 5 Mile where the NBC headquarters is located will be on sale, and the proceeds will go directly towards building a new complex. The minister invites business houses, both local and offshore, to participate through an open and transparent tender process. The refurbished National Museum and Art Gallery in Port Moresby was officially reopened yesterday. Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture Emil Tamur and the Australian Foreign Minister Senator Marise Payne led the formalities. Invited guests included Grand Chief Sir Michael Sumare, NCD Governor Pois Pakop, Prime Minister's wife Linda Baba O'Neill and other government ministers and officials. The project involved the extensive refurbishment of the museum's gallery spaces and external entrance area through a joint PNG Australia partnership with the museum. Curators selected 450 items of significance for display from more than 30,000 artworks and artifacts in the museum's archives. All 22 provinces across PNG are represented. Completed ahead of APEC Leaders Week in November, the refurbished museum will become a must-see attraction for local and international visitors. Member for Karukuhiri Open, Peter Iso Aimo, says the biggest benefit we have today is the land. The MP said with everything going high-tech, a lot of the land grabbing going on is done within the Lands Department. With that in mind, the minister has reiterated his call for the Karukuhiri electorate to be split to safeguard his people and their land.
Speaking recently at the occasion to mark businesswoman Anna Pinu's 40 years of service at Rorobana Station in the electorate, the minister said the reason why land grabbing is happening is because people in the lands department are not physically on the ground to survey out land, but rather use gadgets like Google Map to steal other people's land.
Kairukuhiri being an electorate on the outskirts of city of Port Moresby, with Port Moresby city's overgrowth in population, we have spillover effects every day. If anyone is to have problems, it's me, your member for Kairukuhiri. I have more problems than any member of parliament. Why? Because of illegal land grabbing on the outskirts of city of Port Moresby in Kairukuhiri electorate in Central Province.
The MP said it's high time the Kairukuhiri electorate is separated. With two lots of ethnically different people living in the same electorate, it's difficult for development to take place.
In Kairukuhiri, we have one electorate with two districts. We have Hiri district that surrounds the city of Port Moresby, that runs up as far as Vemauri Bridge. Then we have Kairuku that starts from there right up to Kivori and back this way. Yeah, so including the Kuni and Mekeo people. So my dear people, it is my intention during this term under my tenure as your leader to ensure we see to a split in the electorate.
The member says with a landmass that is bigger than the other three electorates in the province, the split can bring a lot of benefits. An example is manpower in making decisions to bring about amendments or changes on the floor of parliament. Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
The Vision City Trade Expo has attracted tourists and locals since it began this week. One stall that is attracting crowds is the Uni bookshop that has books written by PNG authors. Many who visited the store showed keen interest in local author. Two books of particular interest is Sana, a biography of PNG's founding father Michael Somare, and Playing the Game, a story of former Prime Minister Sir Julius Chan.
It's not only fun and entertainment at the Vision City Trade Expo, but serious business as well. There's latest gadgets on offer, health tips for a healthier lifestyle, and information for knowledge. That is the Uni bookstall displaying a variety of books written by PNG authors.
PNG Press and Bookshop stall. We normally sell varieties of books, but today is a special one, which is PNG Trade Expo. So we're trying to expose especially PNG books. We have PNG histories. Starting from Wednesday, we got a lot of customers from outside, like foreigners. They came and asked questions about PNG books, and we told them that this is the only place where you can find PNG books, the only bookshop in PNG.
On display were books for students, MYOB and business, technologies, cooking and even dictionaries. But what attracted a lot of readers were two books in particular, the first one titled Sana, an autobiography of PNG's founding father, Michael Somare, and the second book titled Playing the Games, a life story of a former Prime Minister, Sir Julius Chan.
Sana, we have a book about Sana here. That's the Prime Minister himself, the founder. And we have also have Julius Chan. And yeah, many more. There's varieties of books. We have our own PNG writers. Example, Russell Swaba, Stephen Edmund Winduo. They are famous PNG writers.
National and aspiring writers are encouraged to contact Uni Books to get more exposure.
We encourage like writers to come and do writing. We can develop your manuscripts and do your publishing. And also we have some PNG anthropologists about books about culture of PNG, different places in PNG. We have so many varieties of them. And also we sell bargain books. It's our own publications.
The Vision City Trade Expo will end next Saturday. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
The RSPCA hosted a dog show in the nation's capital today, with 14 dogs taking part in 8 categories, winning prizes for their efforts. The dogs were entertaining and friendly and from different breeds, an entertaining day for dog lovers in the city. Fidele Sukina reports.
Big, small, short, tall, clothed, furry. They were all there at the RSPCA dog show today. Owners showcasing man's best friend. 14 dogs proudly showcased at the Waterfront Foodwell car park in the nation's capital. The dog show was hosted by the Royal Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, RSPCA. The dogs were featured in 8 categories, which saw them get prizes for the biggest dog in the nation's capital, smallest dog in the nation's capital, dog obedience, dog with the smartest trick, dog with the most interesting looking fur, dog who resembles his or her owner, and best dog on the day and most interesting outfit. Bunny, spelled B-U-N-N-Y, nothing resembling a rabbit, but a well-behaved German Shepherd, just only 4 months old. And boy was he on a roll, taking out top dog in most obedient category, dog with the smartest trick, and the best dog on the day, only coming second in resembling her owner, Chloe Adema.
It's been fun because he's an intelligent dog, and when we tell him to do something, he does it. It's so awesome.
Bunny was just being himself and made the family proud, grabbing 3 blue ribbons, making the family from Medang and East New Britain proud. Chloe, just in grade 8, was very happy with the result.
It makes me happy because at first I didn't think we stand a chance, because I saw different breeds of dogs, and I knew some of them would be intelligent based on their owners. But looks like for obedience, he came first place because of us.
She had doubts but knew Bunny was a top dog in his right.
My dog has been training hard. He trains mostly every day with my uncle, Joe Adema. And for us today, this is our first competition that we entered. And it's been amazing. His obedience has been excellent.
She was happy about their first dog show and is sure to be in the next edition.
When you love and respect him, he'll love and respect you in return. And he will listen to every command you say due to your love for him. When you feed him, you pet him, you just make him happy.
Fidele Sukina, National MTV News.
You're at National EMTV News. Among stories making headlines overseas, more on the missing journalist, Hurricane Michael, and the second royal wedding of the year. Stay with us for details. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, Turkish officials claim they have audio and video proof that a missing Washington Post journalist was murdered inside the Saudi consulate. Jamal Khashoggi was last seen on CCTV footage entering the building in Istanbul 10 days ago. And pressure's growing on the U.S.
Tonight, chilling new reports about what happened after this moment caught on security cameras in Istanbul when Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi walked into the Saudi consulate and has not been seen since. Turkish investigators are certain Khashoggi was killed inside that consulate. The Washington Post now reporting Turkish officials claim that there is audio and video evidence of the assassination. The Post quoting a source, "You can hear his voice and the voices of men speaking Arabic. You can hear how he was interrogated, tortured, and then murdered." Khashoggi, a columnist for the Washington Post living in the U.S. and a frequent critic of the Saudi regime, entered the consulate 10 days ago, seeking official documents related to his upcoming wedding. Hours earlier, according to reports in the Turkish media, a private jet had arrived from Saudi Arabia, 9 men on board, one of 2 planes allegedly linked to the operation. Then, after Khashoggi had been inside for 2 hours, 2 black vehicles are seen leaving the back entrance, purportedly the hit squad. They're traced to the residence of a top Saudi official, while Khashoggi's fiancée waits for him outside the consulate. Later, 2 Saudi planes departing Turkey that evening. Today, Senator Bob Corker, chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, saying the evidence is strong.
Everything I've seen does point to the Saudis.
President Trump, who's made closer relations with Saudi Arabia key to his foreign policy, arrived in Ohio tonight and backed away from drawing any conclusion.
And nobody knows quite yet. Nobody's been able to put it all together.
The president adding he will call the King of Saudi Arabia, quote, pretty soon.
Rescuers in Florida still haven't reached some of the areas hit hardest by Hurricane Michael. The death toll from the Category 4 storm, one of the most powerful in U.S. history, has now reached 17 and is expected to rise.
Tonight, time is running out to find survivors in the storm zone. Customs and Border Protection using Black Hawk helicopters to rescue 2 residents from Panama City, hoisting them to safety. The area impossible to reach by vehicle. Officials tonight saying many areas are just too dangerous for people to return to. As we make our way to Mexico Beach, you can see destruction everywhere you look. This is where Michael made landfall. That 14-foot storm surge and those 155-mile-per-hour winds.
This is where the wind and surge was greatest. The water ripping these homes off their foundations and carrying them, in some cases, hundreds of yards inland. The stronger, higher buildings remain, but the expanse of the damage is mind-boggling. Emily Hansen and her mother shell-shocked by the devastation.
It's pretty devastating. Like, everybody we know lost their house. Everybody. And our jobs.
Daniel Krupp reluctantly deciding to ride out the storm with his wife and their dog Leo.
The storm increased so rapidly that we didn't have time to get out of here.
He's lucky to be alive. Nearby, Tyndall Air Force Base also taking a direct hit. Today, we saw cargo planes arrive, carrying teams to get the base back up and running. Before finally moving off the coast, Michael drenching Virginia and the Carolinas with more than 9 inches of rain in some spots, triggering widespread flash flooding and water rescues, killing at least 8 people, including a firefighter. Well over 1 million without power in the storm zone tonight. Some estimates for the damage from Michael near $4.5 billion.
Melania Trump has spoken about her marriage to the U.S. president and rumors of his affairs. The First Lady gave a rare TV interview during a recent trip to Africa with no questions off limits.
Through it all, she's held her tongue, silent when porn star Stormy Daniels stepped forward, silent when the White House denied the affair, silent when the president later admitted to paying hush money. Now a much-hyped tell-all interview with the First Lady, addressing allegations of her husband's infidelity.
It is not concern and focus of mine. I'm a mother and a First Lady, and I have much more important things to think about and to do. I know people like to speculate, and media like to speculate about our marriage and circulate the gossip. But I understand the gossip sells newspapers, magazines, getting advertisers, and unfortunately we live in this kind of world today.
Have you been hurt though?
It's not always pleasant, of course. But I know what is right and what is wrong and what is true or not true.
Mrs. Trump insists she's not focused on the scandal, but it's clear she can't ignore it. She wasn't happy when her husband's lawyer seemed to put words in her mouth.
She believes in her husband. She knows it's untrue. I don't even think there's a slight suspicion that it's true.
Is that an accurate statement?
I never talked to Mr. Giuliani.
Why do you think he came out and said that?
I don't know. You need to ask him.
A model, Melania Trump moved to New York in 1996, shortly before meeting Donald Trump.
You spin, baby.
He came with a date, and he was known as kind of a ladies' man.
And she knew for 20 years he dreamed of being president.
Can you picture yourself a First Lady?
Yes, I will be very traditional. I will support him. I will stand by men.
And so she appears to have done. Their relationship's been widely scrutinized, the First Lady adamant she still has a good marriage, despite many images that appear to show the contrary.
Do you love your husband?
Yes, we are fine. Yes. The word media speculate and it's gossip, it's not always correct stuff.
A ringing endorsement? Perhaps not. Reading between the lines, possibly offering the clearest insight into Melania Trump's White House world.
It was a star-studded affair as Princess Eugenie married her long-term boyfriend Jack Brooksbank today. The daughter of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, tied the knot at a windy Windsor Castle in front of 850 guests.
Deja vu, perhaps. Royal newlyweds on the steps of St George's Chapel. But the second star-studded royal wedding this year was a windy affair, a hold-on-to-your-hat and dresses kind of day. The guests, a familiar mix of entertainers, aristocrats and royals, headed up by the bride's grandparents, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. Also front and centre, the mother of the bride, Sarah Ferguson, a woman with a checkered royal history. It's believed today was the closest she's been to her former father-in-law in 26 years. Then came the Princess Bride, stepping out in a low-back dress designed to show her scars from a childhood operation to fix the curvature of her spine. Eugenie went up the aisle with her father, Prince Andrew, and an array of the smallest royals to meet her long-term boyfriend, Jack Brooksbank. The pair spending the traditional service, sharing moments.
He smiled understandingly, much more than understandingly. It was one of those rare smiles with a quality of eternal reassurance in it.
Witnessed by Kiwi Nick Madden, who sang with the St George's Chapel Choir.
It was just as romantic as Harry and Meghan, absolutely, but the feel was different. It felt because they've been together for such a long time, that it was meant to be, and they were just so happy.
And he almost had this role.
I filled in for him yesterday in the full run through. So if Bonjo Bocelli unfortunately couldn't sing, I was him today.
At midday, the new husband and wife set out to greet the crowds. Their procession through Windsor, a shorter version of Harry and Meghan's.
This carriage procession has attracted the royal enthusiasts, but nothing like the crowds we saw 5 months ago. And it's cost the public purse around $4 million New Zealand dollars in security costs.
It lifts people's spirits. We travelled from the Netherlands to witness the wedding.
After the wedding breakfast, the couple headed out to party, clearly pumped about married life ahead.
And back home now, Morobe MPs have defended a provincial government decision to build a coal power station in Lae City. While the decision has been met with much criticism by groups overseas and in Papua New Guinea, Lae MP John Rosso says Lae's energy needs are growing and the city needs a reliable power source at a fraction of the current price. The decision has also been supported by Energy Minister Sam Bassel and the Morobe Governor Ginson Saunu.
An MOU has already been signed to move the project along. Morobe MPs present at Friday's news conference argue that the coal-fired power station will end the ongoing blackouts in Lae City and provide a reliable power supply at a fraction of the cost.
What the facts are, 70% of power development in Australia is powered by coal. That's 70%. And yet we have people saying we can't have one coal power station in Lae. My advice is come try live in Lae. Try live with the constant blackouts. Come live with trying to make manufacturing here in Lae. The price of goods and services rise. Come and live here when you had 1 week of constant blackout. Then come and complain about the power here.
Lae MP John Rosso says he was initially against the idea but had to visit various power stations and study the concept himself.
Other fact of the matter is current existing power stations, including the proposed new hydro, they'll be selling power at roughly 20 to 25 US cents. And that is like twice, 2.5 times the current proposal. So are we going to pay more for our power?
The Chamber of Commerce only ask him plenty cheap power, only ask him reliable power. Now, you minus I will give him. So
while Morobe MPs are determined to push forward with the project, the move has brought widespread criticism from international groups opposed to the coal option. The challenge now is to manage PNG's international commitments to climate change, while at the same time the contractual obligations to the coal company. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Lae.
You're at Saturday's news. Stay tuned for Trukai Sports coming up next. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To rugby union, a former Palais Kimi Rapila is back in the national side after being absent for a year. Kimi, who plays in the forward, says it was tough getting back in shape, but she's happy to work with new players in the team.
Kimi missed out on several international matches, which includes the Sevens Leg Series in Sydney, Hamilton, Hong Kong, and the recent Rugby World Cup in San Francisco, is finally back in the squad.
Excited, very excited. It's so good coming back and training alongside a good bunch of girls. Not only good, but now much fitter and stronger. Coming back from the World Cup, they came back strong, and I think really good exposure and experience for them, attending such a big tournament, playing alongside among some of the world-class teams.
Kimi is looking forward to working with the young talents, especially after the Rugby World Cup in San Francisco.
It's not really easy coming back, making a comeback. It's been tough. It still is, especially leading up to the Oceania Sevens, which is the big one we're looking forward to as a team.
ICTSI Palais captain Cassandra Sampson says it is good to have Kimi back in the game again.
Having Kimi back now with that experience that she has and knowledge of the game, I know that she'll make a great impact on the ladies and the team too. Apply to the young girls now is to build them up and encourage them and give them the confidence.
Kimi says while she is happy to make a comeback, it is still not as easy as it may seem. ICTSI Palais, who left for Australia on Friday, are currently in Noosa, Queensland, to compete in an invitational tournament in Queensland rugby competition.
I think it's exciting, especially going and I'm gonna go play alongside some new girls. It's a new mix. Personally, I think it'll be a new challenge coming back after a long break, but we'll see what we can do as a team. Working together and getting the combinations right, I think we'll do all right.
Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
The Kiwis are all about winning back their fans, hopefully starting with an upset win over the Kangaroos tonight. While the match might not be a sellout crowd, one of the Kiwi rookies has already brought in an entire town of loyal supporters.
Go the Kiwis! Mount Smart might not know it yet, but there's a Kiwis party on wheels and it's headed their way. The party bus left Tokoroa this afternoon. Are you all here to support?
Kia ora ana tātou katoa toi roto te rā mania, te turunei mātou ia Joseph Manu.
Manu makes his debut at centre tonight, having just won his first NRL premiership with the Roosters. Many of these supporters were actually there in Sydney.
It's not a different or a new thing for us to travel to support our nephew, our boy, and our hometown boy.
And in Sydney, they stole the show. But now that their boy is moving into the international arena, they thought they'd take things up a notch.
We thought, hey, let's get together and print up some T-shirts. So
how many are there?
Well, at the moment, currently for this particular design, there's over 200.
In a crowd expected to be less than 15,000, the Tokoroa clan has taken up an entire bay in the stands. And more of Joseph Manu's family are travelling from Hastings and the far north.
He succeeds, we all succeed. No, we're just very, very proud of his achievement so far. And the best news is he's just started.
With all the talk about an empty crowd for tonight's game, this loyal group from Tokoroa is showing Kiwis fans exactly how it's done.
And in that Trans-Tasman match, the Kiwis have made a remarkable comeback, taking the game and beating the Kangaroos 26 points to 24. Moving on, Trukai Sports continues with more after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Still on rugby overseas, Hamilton has already been served up a rugby rip snorter today as the end from Waikato put the Ranfurly Shield on the line against fellow second test decider Otago. It's been the pick of the final round of matches so far.
Otago obviously loves heading north, remembering it's the only side to have beaten Auckland this season, and rocked Waikato with 3 early tries in just 9 minutes.
He'll go straight ahead.
The top of the table home side, which lost the Shield to Otago 5 years ago, came charging back, and this match is going right down to the wire. The Mulus will next host Northland in the playoffs after an injury-ravaged Taniwha went down 38-35 to Bay of Plenty in Tauranga. The Steamers stormed out to a big lead and then just lasted as the visitors roared home with 2 very late tries. Last night, Wellington clinched its playoff spot in its first year back in the top flight, relegating Taranaki in the process. The Lions were far too strong in the second half, with All Black hooker Dane Coles coming through his long-awaited return in great shape, as they won 34-10. That meant North Harbour would miss out on the semi-finals, but tomorrow's Battle of the Bridge will ensure it won't be a meek end to the season.
The rivalry's strong, and we're all aware of that. Look, we'd like to think so. We're certainly no love lost between the two provinces.
Harbour posted its highest ever score against Auckland last year, 57-10.
Look at the man go.
Have you got another 50-metre try on you, personally?
Oh, look, I think I'm paid to, do the stuff up front first and foremost, so that's what I'll be focused on, just doing my job for the group.
And plenty of interest in open-side flanker Dylan Hunt, ahead of the end-of-year All Black Tour squad announcement.
Being in the environment was a lot more welcoming than I expected, and just a really sort of good high-performance environment where you can improve yourself.
If Harbour wins tomorrow, that will probably cost Auckland a home semi-final.
Now to football, lightning has struck twice for the world's fastest man.
Usain Bolt bagging 2 goals for the Central Coast Mariners in a pre-season friendly.
Close together. Usain Bolt now brings it down and hits it. And the Jamaican juggernaut scores his first goal for a professional side, and that will feel like gold.
Bolt's second coming courtesy of some rather suspect defending.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, in Port Moresby, cloudy with some showers, and fine weather in Daru, Kerema, Alatau and Popondetta. In the Mamasa region, few showers in Lae and Wau, and fine weather in Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, few showers in Lorengau, Kabia, Kokoporobao and Kimbe, and thundery storms in Buka. And in the Highlands region, showers and morning fog right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabek.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the way it is this Saturday, the 13th of October 2018. On behalf of the news team right around the country, pleasant viewing. Good night.